everybody, and welcome. It's Miss Jane here, and I'm very excited because today I'm moving away from being at the bar to a new little idea that I had called Centre Stage, where I'm bringing either current dance studio owners or past dance studio owners to the centre of the stage to tell us about what they're doing. And today I'm joined by Dani Miller. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. I'm just going to change this so we've got us both here for a while, just while we get started. So Dani and I have known each other for a while. I did the maths, Dani, because I like to prepare. So it was towards the end of 2017 that I first met you face to face, because we were both part of a mastermind group working with dance studio owners at the time. That was in Melbourne. So it has been a couple of years, but in that time you have undergone quite a few changes, and I'll let you tell that story. That's yours to tell. But when I met you, you were a dance studio owner. So do you want to just kind of, I guess, talk a little bit about what you were doing when we met at that time and what you're doing now?
All right. Yeah, so I used to own Bay of Plenty Performing Arts, which was in Tauranga in New Zealand. I built that up from like nothing, from zero. So moved down to Tauranga, knew pretty much no one except my boyfriend at the time, and thought I'll start a dance studio. So,
why not?
Yeah. So I built that up, I think to its max, it was like just over 300 students. And then, yeah, at the end of last year, an opportunity came up to sell the studio.
Yeah.
And we decided to take that. So now it's merged with another great studio down here, and it's thriving in its new building. And I'm lucky I still get to teach there one night a week. So I still get to work with our competition students. And
that's nice, isn't it? Yeah. So you've not kind of cut off completely. You've still got that connection. And I also looked up Bay of Plenty, because I'm obviously in Australia, and there was that talk of a New Zealand Australian travel bubble.
Yeah.
And I love travel. I love taking my families, I've only got one, thank God, that's enough, my family overseas and around. And so Brian and I were talking about New Zealand, so I was like, but I know people in New Zealand. So I looked it up, and girl, it is, wow, we might have to visit. It is so pretty, isn't it? What made you move there? Was it just a change of pace that you were after? Or?
I'd been in Sydney for 12 months. And then while I was in Sydney, I met a man who lived in Mount Maunganui, and I thought, I'm not going to make the move straight away. So I came back and did a year in Auckland. And then I think part of the reason as well is I've always looked at the area because it wasn't as saturated in terms of dance studios.
Of course, yeah.
I knew in the back of my head I always wanted to have my own studio. The Auckland market, there's a studio on every corner where I lived.
Right.
But yeah, it was a man who got me down here.
Yeah, they do that. They do that, and it's not always bad.
But it's beautiful, like the beach across the road, and yeah, it's really, really nice. I couldn't go back to Auckland.
No, funny, isn't it? Yeah. So it was all part of the journey. And so now you have you're a teacher in schools. We were just chatting about that. But you also run En Pointe Social. So what kind of made you drift? And you can talk about what that does, that business does, and kind of what made you drift towards working in the social market, the social media market.
I think it all started. It was another one of the kind of retreats that we were on, I think, and there was a lady who came along and spoke about social media, and I think from that point I was hooked. I kind of straight away started actioning a kind of social media plan for Bay of Plenty Performing Arts. Really, really got into it. Enjoyed kind of the blogging and things, and then also the Facebook ads. I've always loved creating Facebook ads and copy for that.
You're probably the only person that said that whole sentence right there.
Yeah. But then I had other dance studio owners start saying, I would get you to do my social. And I was like, okay. Oh, there goes the dog.
There they go. Mine will join in probably. That's all fun. We're dog mums. It's part of it.
Yeah. Just like kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I went over to New York and was talking to some people, like studio owners over there, and they were like, well, yeah, can you do my social? so I kind of started to realize, one, I loved it, but it was like, oh, maybe I'm not too bad at this. And
yes,
I actually, when I was in New York, I had all the branding done for En Pointe Social.
yeah.
But was just too busy with the dance studio and nothing ever came of it. So it was during lockdown here.
Perfect.
Like, I should actually do something about this.
Action it, yeah. And I mean, lockdown's been, I was actually laughing with my family the other night because I've, been writing lots of emails for Dance Step, my other company, and I'm saying, how are you going through COVID shutdown? But every time I typed it, I was typing shit down, and I was like, yeah, there have been moments of that, right? It just felt like a shit down. And then I was like, delete, delete, delete. But there has been some new beginnings as well, and just allowing you the time to focus on this has been really nice to watch. Like it's and I love the branding because it's so colourful. I love it. And yeah, I can certainly resonate with that. I've found that I've been able to launch a few things that I just would never have got around to had I not had that forced time. So before we jump further into social and, because man, there's a lot there. Before we get kind of too much into the hustle, I am rejecting hustle. The older I get, I used to very much be like trying to get as much done in a short amount of time and work, but I reject that now. So I'm very keen to find out what other people do to relax. What do you do when you're not working?
My main thing is the gym, which has been ongoing a couple of years now.
Yeah, and addictive.
Yeah. Got addictive to lifting heavy weights.
Yeah.
But I find it's the only time in my day I completely shut off from everything else I've got going on.
So good.
I could use last week. Last week was crazy.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, and I got up. When you get out, I get teary when I'm really tired.
Oh, me too.
So I got out of bed and I was like almost crying, and my partner Dwayne's going, "You don't need to go to the gym," and I'm going, "I do. I have to go." And it was like 5:30 in the morning. I got to the gym, but by the end of it, it set me up for the day. So I think,
back to being high on life, so to speak. Yeah. I don't know whether I read it or somebody said it to me, but I often have a resistance to go to the gym just because it's kind of one more thing on my list. But I had this thing in my head from somewhere that's like, you never regret the workout you did. And so that's kind of my thing. I'm like, I just have to get there, and then I know that I'll be like, I do not lift heavy weights like you. I am soft as, but I love to swim, and I love to get all the happy endorphins. So I can resonate with that. And what is a motto or saying that you live by?
I think one I always come back to, and I put it on all of my social posts, is hashtag be yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
I think it's so easy, especially in this kind of social media world, to get sucked into things and trying to see someone doing this, I need to do that, but really just staying true to yourself. And it's I think as I've gone on, I know when I had my studio, I was always watching other studios thinking, I'm not doing this good enough. I know I should be doing this, but just how important it is just to be you.
Yeah, and it's hard. It is hard. So the reminders are so useful. And, I like to think I'm fairly strong and kind of in my lane. And I'm with you. It's the advice I give people all the time. But every time I say to somebody else, stay in your lane, put your blinkers on, I'm saying it to myself, because we're just exposed to so much more than we have been in the past. We never knew what was going on in other studios. So we just did our thing and hoped that it was what our customers needed. Whereas now, there's just little distractions everywhere, and it's harder. But I think you're spot on. It's so important. So you've moved to managing social media and creating content, obviously for your own brand and for others. We're all trying to do it. So dance studio, I'm still, in the dance studio ownership field. We're all trying to do it. I just find that it's so time consuming. So do you have any, hacks or tips on how we can navigate that? Because for me, it's like, I know I've got to do it, maybe it's a little bit like exercise. I know I've got to do it. I know it benefits me. I know it benefits the business, but it's just always there, and I don't always get around to it. So one day I'm on those stories like nobody else, you know, and I'm like, I'm killing this. And then it will go days and it'll be like, oh, there's nothing happening. So do you have any hacks for how we can be better at it?
I think the biggest thing is being prepared.
Yeah.
I know when I had the studio, if I hadn't put in the time, say at the start of the month or leading up to a new month, my social media would have been all over the place. Because if I left it to thinking about it each day, it would always get either put to a lower priority or something else would happen, or I'd forget about it. So I used to create, and I still do this now, for my clients, is creating a content calendar. So planning the month in advance. What are we going to post on each day? And then looking at that content calendar and going, okay, so what photos do we need? What video content do we need? Blogs, trying to pre-write the blogs.
Yeah.
So you're not going, I don't know, it's Monday blog day and I haven't even written a blog yet.
Yeah.
So it's investing that time, I think, in a chunk. So blocking out a couple of hours on a day towards the start of a new month and getting that all done. Once the content's ready, like definitely investing in some kind of online scheduling software.
Yeah.
So that way the posts are just going up and you don't even need to think about them. Yeah. So it's that being organized in advance, so it's not become like something you do on a whim each day. Or I need to post something, snap a photo in the studio, throw it up there.
Yeah.
And
I think that's the thing. Okay, so we've got to take a really proactive approach instead of a reactive. That's what you're saying, isn't it? It is. I think maybe like previously, I've had my dance studio for 15 years, and I feel like my Instagram is another pet. Like I love my pets, but I don't love my Instagram. It's like another pet. I have to feed it every day. You know, I have to give it love and attention, and it's like almost the pet I didn't want. But I know that there's value in it. But I think because we don't see it straight away, what do you think, whereas when I first started, and that's where I got going before I diverted, when I first started, I put an ad in the paper. It cost a huge amount of money. Like it was always it was in the thousands, and this was 15 years ago, to run over 3 weeks in the local paper. But I could always see that return because people would say to me when they rang, oh, I saw your ad in the paper. And, I'd put that ad in on a Thursday. People knew that's when enrollments were coming out. And like that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the phone would ring off the hook. But I feel like with social media, we're putting ourselves out into the world, but the return doesn't seem to be quite so direct. So what do you think, what are the benefits? Why should we be doing it, I guess? What do you think the benefits from us kind of focusing in on this are?
So I always say people are always watching.
Right.
It sounds bad actually. But, so people need to see things multiple times before, or hear things multiple times before they're going to invest their money in it. So I think that's part of it. And there can be people just sitting watching your account, seeing your post go out. They might never like something, they might never comment on something, but they're watching. And then maybe you invest in a paid ad, and that's their time they click, and that comes through. The other side of it is building the audience, so that when you are going to invest in something like a paid ad, you've got that the engagement there and the audience is built up already. And then I've gone blank now. I was going to say something else. I went off on that different tangent.
See, I figured that. But I guess what you're saying is it's about, like, in some ways it's better than what I was doing 15 years ago, because it is warming them up, isn't it? It's like getting to know each other. Yeah, it's a long game, but I don't know, I'm not so great at that. I preach about delayed gratification to my students. I teach ballet. It's like the world's best example of delayed gratification. Hey, start when you're 3 and maybe you might be okay when you're 12. But so it's a long game. So we just need, it sounds to me like when we're probably not planning enough. Like I've unfollowed a lot of dance studios because of shiny object syndrome. But it looked like we're probably not being as consistent as we need to be, if that's the benefit. So you're saying pre-plan, because the benefit is a long-term gain, but it really hinges on consistency then, and showing up regularly, doesn't it?
And that's a point that I blanked on before, was consistency.
Yeah.
So in terms of like the algorithm and things on Instagram in particular, the more consistently you're posting, the more likely your posts are going to start to show up.
Right.
For people to see. So if you're posting once a week and you've got other studios posting daily, the algorithm likes that.
So how this was not on my question list, but how often should we be posting?
I say for Instagram, I try and do one post a day.
Yeah.
So like for my clients, I'll say 6 to 7 posts scheduled a day, not a day. A week. But I sometimes will just do one on the weekends.
Yeah.
But then something I do as well is like a call to action post once a week. So when I had the studio, I used to do a $15 boost on a call to action post every Wednesday.
Okay.
And that brought in so many clients.
Wow.
Like, just something simple. So I invested $15 a week in my social media.
Which is nothing, is it?
Because normally it was for some kind of paid pass. So if it was a, I don't know, $3 for $15 pass, had one person, and that's covered the cost for the whole post. So and I mean, that's where I do see, huge advantages in that it's very cost effective and it's so quick. You can have an idea and you can put it up, or you could be better planned and you could plan out your socials. I had a question now, I forgot what it was. Oh, I know. So Instagram, we're kind of talking Instagram because I know you love Instagram and I'm learning to love Instagram. But we should probably mention Facebook as well. We have a joke in my family because, as you know, I've got 3 children. My oldest is 14, and then I've got a tween at 11, and then Liam at 8. And so Alana, my 14-year-old, she's all over, anything that's got the word social in it, whether that's in real life or online. And she pays me out all the time because she's like, oh, Mum, you're so bad at Instagram. And I play up on it. Like the other day, I put my story highlights into highlights. And so I said to her, oh, look, Alana, I've done my circles. I've put my stories into the circles. And she was just like, Mum, well, I'm playing up on it. But so do you see the benefit of doing both? Should we be doing both? Should we be doing the same things on both? Should we be just doing different things? It's a lot. It's a lot. My big thing is, if you're not doing social media, like it's not your thing, pick 2 and do them well. So I tend to go towards Instagram and Facebook as the main 2. But like at the moment, there's that stage where you have to be on Snapchat, and then now you have to be on TikTok, and just don't even go there if you can't. Like, you need to be able to manage your Instagram and Facebook well first. I post similar things on both, but Instagram is more about the aesthetic and the look. Facebook, you could go a little bit more content heavy. So sometimes I might, share articles and things on Facebook, but I might not share those on Instagram.
And because, of course, Instagram, you do have that beautiful feed, and you can look at it and proudly, every now and then you can look at it and be like, oh, girl, that looks good. Whereas Facebook, there's just, you're not looking at your content as a collective. It's just, I feel like it's gone then, because people scroll so fast, don't they? It's like, well, there it is, and now it's gone. I think, you're saying do focus on the areas you're good at. And I know, and this is what I was going to say, is like with my 14-year-old, she pays me out because I'm not as good on Instagram. So I just ask her, but I'm okay on Facebook. And she's like, oh, that's because Facebook's for old people. I'm like, thank you, Lana. That's lovely. And so I do kind of use that thought and make sure the stuff I'm posting on Instagram is my teenagers that are watching, as well as my young mums. That's what I'm finding. Like my mums of my 3-year-olds, like they're on it. They're, they're nailing it. Whereas kind of that middle section is still on Facebook. I think if we're going, okay, we've got this, we're meant to be planning this out, we've got that, now we're doing it once a day, but we're still overwhelmed. I know that when I've been speaking to dance studio owners before and I'm saying, well, maybe, delegate your weaknesses, because I'm all for using your strength and delegating your weaknesses, or even not a weakness, just something that doesn't light you up. There's a resistance to that. And some people say to me, oh, well, I've tried, but, that person doesn't know my industry. And I think that's where you've really got a great opportunity to nail your niche, because you've lived it, you're still teaching. What would you say to someone, if they're sitting here next to me and I was saying, hey, maybe you should get Dani to manage your socials. And they're like, no, because she doesn't know. Like, how can we overcome that resistance? What would you say to someone, I guess, to go, no, other people can do this for you. Like, there's a control freakiness, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that as the control freak.
Yeah. We unite here.
I think it's really important, whether it's myself who knows dance studios or even somebody else who maybe doesn't know the dance industry as well, is just to build that relationship.
Right.
They can do it, but it's about, I invest a lot of time at the beginning, because even though I know dance studios, every dance studio is different.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think of two that I manage at the moment, they're very different types of studios. So then I need to understand both of those brands. So it's like investing that time to get to know the studio owner, build a relationship, create a voice for the studio, because I can't be posting, or whoever's managing a social can't be posting as them. They need to be speaking as if they're the dance studio. So I think, it's that building that relationship and finding someone who's willing to invest that time at the start to get to know your brand, to get to know what makes your clients tick. And then I could go on a completely different track there of, do you know what makes your clients tick?
So, wow. Okay, you did just throw that curveball in. Because do you think perhaps maybe some of the conundrum is that maybe the answer is no for some of us? Like, I can tell you, I do know what makes my clients tick, because I am one. But that has changed over time, and even like what makes our students tick. I'm saying I'm trying to reach my students as well on Instagram. I've got a deeper understanding of that now, because I have a 14-year-old, whereas I know I was off the mark before. So what can we do to know what makes our clients tick? Do you have any kind of hints? I guess.
My first thing again is investing time, but I know we're all time poor. But really trying to create, like, work out who your target market is if you're trying to get new students through the door, and it's right back to that basics of who are they, how old are they, what places are like, what's places are they visiting, what pages are they following on Facebook, what accounts are they following on Instagram, all that side of things. And then your students, I think it's just talking to them as well. Like, I know, and probably most right now, the students I teach at the studio are TikTok crazy. I stopped doing TikTok dances.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So like that kind of thing, and kind of creating content on your Instagram that engages that kind of video, and encourages them to share videos in their stories and tag you and things like that. But doing that research, even surveying some of your current families, or just chatting to them, finding out what they're interested in and things like that. You've always got a few, I think, families who you may be a little bit closer to, and you can ask those questions.
Oh, for sure. I would hope that most people would have someone that they felt comfortable, that they could just either ring up or take out for coffee and say, here's a number of areas that you could have a chat, and have a number of areas that you could really dig deep about. And I think there's some fear behind those kind of conversations sometimes. We're like, like the word survey, I don't know, I was like, because humans.
A poll on your Facebook page could be easier,
Well, yes. And that's almost less confronting. And all of those, I mean, how do you stay up to date? Because that's my other thing. I feel like I've just got a handle on something, or I don't want to look silly, Dani. Like, I don't want to look like a 40-year-old. Even today I was doing something on my Insta and I was trying to and I was like, oh, if I get this wrong, Alana is going to pay the shit out of me, and I just don't want to look silly. So how do you stay up to date? Do you just keep using it and I guess trial and error? I don't know. I'm asking and answering the question there.
Changing so much. Like it's constantly changing. I read a few blogs. So there's a few kind of different blogs I follow. It is being on it. I'm on it a lot.
Yeah, just being on it, just
more than I
using
want to be. And I think as well, it's just getting rid of that fear, and just like a post with maybe something that's not quite right is better than no post at all.
Yeah. And I've deleted stuff too, like, I've done it and it's not come out quite right, or it's like just dropped and nothing's happening. It's just crickets chirping, nothing. And I'm like, oh, that's a bit embarrassing. So just delete it. Like the worst case scenario is you can just delete it, can't you? And hope that nobody saw. And according to the insights, sometimes nobody does. So if someone was to work, if this has been really good for someone listening, going, yeah, I get it, but I still don't feel like I can look after my pet as well as it needs to. What could a social media consultant or a manager do? What are the kind of things that you do? So you would do the planning, would people need to provide you with like the photos and you would do the rest? How does that work for someone who's like, okay, I'm interested?
So what I normally do is something like this to start with, is have a Zoom call and really chat and get to know the studio owner and what their kind of goals are, so that we can really target that. Then each month we have a little catch-up call where we put together a plan for the following months. Like heading into this month coming up, a lot of people, it's going into a new term, so we're trying to get some enroll for term 3 type posts in there, or what classes aren't performing as well as you'd like, can we try and boost those class numbers and things like that. Then I go away, and actually even before, if I backtrack right back at the beginning, I always suggest getting someone in to do some photos if they don't have photos already. I think that's a must. So for me, I've got like I get the dance studios to just dump a whole lot of photos on me, and then I kind of go through and go, I can work with that one down the track and maybe not. And I just through like a photo dump, but quality photos are great if we can get those. I even say, even your end of year dance concert, like normally you get a photographer in, and I had the studio, I've always said you can manage all the photography and selling to the parents as long as I get a copy of every single photo.
Exactly.
Then you've got that kind of you're starting to get that gallery of photos.
And massive amounts, huh?
Lots to go through.
Too many.
But then I do all the content creation. At the start, I'll flick some back and say, are you okay with this? Are you okay with this?
Sure.
Till we kind of start to get that groove, I guess. So,
for sure.
And then coming up with the copy and things like that. I schedule their posts for them. There's a lot of nitty gritty things at the start, setting it all up. I think the main thing is, one is knowing the brand, so the dance studio knows the brand, and provide, font names if they've got a font they use and the colors they use to get that going, some quality photos, and then kind of video stuff. I like to just I'm in some dance studio owners teacher groups, so I'll just post in the group and say, hey, any teachers, can you flick me some video content from your classes? Or other studio owners prefer to manage that themselves. And
and I think you kind of just touched there. I was going to say it could be that, it doesn't have to be an all-in approach, does it? I would find it would be really beneficial to have somebody plan out stuff for me and take that off my responsibility because it's so ongoing. But then I have the freedom to fill in the gaps, so when something happens that I like, and we all have those moments where we might be videoing something in class and being like, oh, I need to share that with the world. That was so good. But I'm not like doing it because, I have to post something today. I'm just like going, I've got a gap. you know, I've got my one post every day, but now I've got this video or something on the weekend. So it could work like that too, couldn't it? You could be doing like that consistent hard slog.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I always say to the studio owners, try not to do the sporadic post on Instagram.
We're so bad at that.
Because there's always that strategy of trying to get things in the right place. And but I always say go crazy on your Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And yeah, so whatever you want to put in your Instagram stories, go. Facebook, a little bit like, if you've got a cool video, pop it up in there.
Yeah.
Like the more the better. But then, so a lot of the time the studio owners will post on their stories the current content, and then maybe click it through, and then because I'm all about reusing content, so I might then schedule that video later on, or I've just got this cool video and I really want it in there. Can you fit it in? So that I can be like, I've got a spare post on Sunday, so we'll post it.
Okay, cool. Oh, I feel like that was gold. I hope people wrote that down. So don't be off the cuff on your grid. Plan, be strategic, proactive, and if you want to be a little bit fly by the seat of your pants creative, then and kind of, I guess it's like in real time, isn't it? Then hit your Instagram stories. Okay. I actually find stories really fun.
Like, I love stories.
Yeah. I just like all the stickers. It's like a sticker book for me. I love it. And I love that, like, the stickers are changing all the time. And I'm like, whoa, that's fancy. I like that better than my grid. I'm not going to lie. Cool. Yeah. All right. So if people want to learn more about you, where can they go?
Easiest is Instagram, which is @onpointe.social.
Cool.
And pretty much exactly the same on Facebook too.
Excellent. All right. And then they can just DM you or reach out that way and have a look at your work. Fantastic. I would encourage them to do that. I just feel like there is a DIY approach for a lot of things in dance studios. You know, like we're time poor, but at the moment we're just poor, but that's okay. It will come back because we've been shut down. But there's kind of like this DIY approach to a lot of things when you're a dance studio owner. And I don't know that that's always ideal, because even in this short amount of time, you've kind of just dropped a few things. Even like you didn't say them like they were amazing, like, oh, make sure you get this. You just kind of rattled them off, and I was like, ooh. Right, so like, okay, I'm learning. So I think there's so much value in using someone who is just focused on one area, and for us, focus really working like on the business rather than always in. And that's a catchphrase. We all use it all the time, but it's easier said than done. So I would definitely encourage people to, first of all, start following your page so they can get to know you, follow that little warm-up exercise, and then reach out. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much. I've learnt things. So I'm feeling very pleased.
All right. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Thanks, Dani. Okay, bye.
See ya.